Besides the siege units, there's something else that I always wanted in the remake, and it has to actually do with construction. It never made any sense why it wasn't like this, but let me just show you how it is right now, or I can say was before at this point. I have this test map where, let me first block this sawmill from receiving any trunks. I have a lot of trunks in here, you don't need that many for this example, but let's say that I want to build a farm over here. And then I put watchtower here, something like that. Right now, I have no timber and no stone, but he's about to make stone, and he's about to make timber, to illustrate that when construction materials are low, even though I place this fence first, this watchtower is going to receive the construction materials, especially timber from the sawmill because it's right next to the sawmill, and also stone from the quarry because it's closer to the quarry. I can allow him at this point, I kind of knew ahead of time how long it takes precisely before he's finished digging this that he will make timber. And there you go. If you believe like this guy that it should be this way, which I agree with him, this would have been better, but in the Steam version it's not like that. This is a scenario in the Steam version where I have a sawmill that is not able to receive trunks until I let it, and I have no stored timber. So I'm going to put a house way over here and wait for the laborer to go start digging it before I place the next one right next to the sawmill. Okay, so he's already done. Okay, now he's done. Just to be sure. If this were the remake, the timber would come here, so let's see what happens. So clearly it doesn't go over here, even though this was the first one placed. If I go to the options menu, now I have this new setting. This translation is only English for right now. I might be accepting translations for everything new I added into the game later, more than like what I've done for the menu buttons here. If you speak another language, you know that these two are not grammatically correct or may not even sound right in your own language. But that's the closest I could do to grab text that's already in the game somewhere in your language and put them together in a way that hopefully you can kind of make sense of what these mean in your language. But anyway, if I check this now and go and restart this map again and do the same thing, I can put this first and this second. Okay. How about that? The stone too, both of them. And then as soon as it's done, then it's going to give materials to this one. So for example, if you had enough stone, but you didn't have enough timber, it's still going to bring the stone here first. But it's going to bring stone here at the same time. So it may look like they're receiving stone at the same time, but the serfs actually did choose to bring the stone here first. Or the reverse is true with timber. Now, ignore this right here. I'll get back to that later, but to be sure that this is correct, I'm going to have it place the farm 1 tick or 1/10 of a second faster than it does the watchtower, so that you see it goes down to the smallest unit of time that this game knows, 1/10 of a second, and see if it still manages to do it. This is really just a demonstration for programmers. It was really hard to tell, but maybe you could at least hear it from this side that this one was placed first. I don't know. I have to start over because he received the log. I didn't turn off the building fast enough. Okay. I'm checking. I'm waiting for stone too, just so that I can see this. Yeah, okay. It seems like in the user manual, I keep on pushing this last page down as I add a new page in, and that's how I think I'm going to continue to do it, because this stuff is kind of boring for most people. Most people will not be using this. And so what I'm trying to say is the new page 16. I talk about this here. Even show this, that if you have this building plan is placed first, then even though it's much further away from either of these two than these two are, it's going to receive the resources first. You can maybe see it. The serfs are here delivering there, but not to these. At least not the timber for right now, but another round of 3 stones was made, so they were brought to this one. But it's only because I put this one second. Otherwise it would have been this one. If this was 2 and this was 3, it would have been delivered here. Don't think that this one received the stone because it was closer to the quarry. That's not the case. Not anymore. But I wanted to mention these 3 things that are important for multiplayer games. It's going to be as though you checked this by default, even if you didn't. So if I have it unchecked, but my friend has it checked, it's not going to matter. The game is going to mark it as checked, not actually from here, but from where the game grabs whether this is checked or not, if that makes any sense to non-programmers. And that's to avoid this, so that replays work, games don't crash or whatever. But once the game is done, then it's going to restore whatever you had checked or unchecked here for you personally. Another thing is every time you update from this point on, you're going to have to keep on checking this in. By default, it's going to be unchecked, and you're going to have to keep checking it with each update. Apologize about that, but I don't think this really should be an issue when you have different versions of the remake, including the vanilla that this shares the game settings XML file with. There's going to be clashing of different settings that you might set in one versus another, that some of these you have to constantly reset or mute the music. Like me, I don't like the music anymore. And this note's kind of funny. Basically the reason why that is because I don't fully understand the part of the code for the economics that chooses priority. I understand it good enough that I can make it work for the first 755 hours of game time. Another thing I changed is I talked about it in the r15478 video. If he's hungry, you can now remove him from the building and then retire him. Before, you had to wait for him to be able to go eat, as in there's food in the inn, for him to get out of the building, because you couldn't remove him otherwise, but now you can, unless you disable this feature with this action in the map script file. Then you can't do any of this. It should have been that way, but I didn't do it like that. Another change I made is a very minor one, but let's say you disable the market distribution of wares feature. So I'm now coming back to this and I say disable market distribution of wares. So right now it's not going to show up here. Before, like if I would remove that so it's not disabled and I would restart, before it would show this no matter what, and even on replays it would show it. So it didn't really prove that someone did not use this feature in a replay, which would matter, I think, for people who care about such things. And so I don't think it was fair to them. It was just a detail that I neglected from my end, that now it will be gone. And another mistake I made, and this is actually a bug fix, when I right click on the barracks to have a yellow arrow, it selects them all. So I fixed that. Yeah, I actually just found that bug now. I was going to right click on one of these and then I saw that happen. It must have been since r15476 that that bug existed, when I was adding the ability to remove a recruit from the barracks with a right click. And as you can see here, I have this now that it tells you what version it is. Every page above this is for 15475. From this point on, when I add a new page, I'm going to do the right thing and say this, which version it was added in and stuff like that. Alright, so there's two other changes that I made. They're not what I consider bug fixes. It's just, again, just neglecting detail to make things more user-friendly. The first change I made was split by hunger. Click on a hungry night, hold down shift and click this. Now it's going to split it so that they have the same number of columns as before. As you may have saw in the previous video, they both become a single line. But now I made it like that, it's more logical. Another change I made is notice that this knight's hunger level is lower than the rest of them. Before, if I would select him because I saw that he was hungry, and it doesn't really show unless you look in the bar itself, and it's hard to tell from one to another, the hunger levels might actually be different even though they look the same. If I were to split like this with holding down shift, as I mentioned before, and you can see now it's split so it's 5 columns as it was originally. Before, it would only split him off because his hunger level was the least of the hungry, and I think for practicality purposes people want to use this feature to split off hungry units from the group. And so I hope that this doesn't mess up anybody's strategy, but I think that generally is what people would want to use this for, that I just made it like that. So it will still follow this rule for every other case except for when you select the hungry unit. Then it's going to detach all the hungry units from the group. But if a troop is about to be hungry but isn't hungry yet, then it's not going to catch them. So sometimes it may appear that it didn't catch them all, but it's because the one that you see that is hungry, that's still in the group, not separated from the hungry ones that you separated from the group, he wasn't hungry at that specific second that you separated him. And also with this one, when you hold down shift while you click this and they all link together, as you can see over here, it makes a square formation instead of a single line. One other thing to mention in the user manual is on page 2 under installation, I have this courtesy note, as I'm calling it here, that if you have downloaded any version starting from here onto the current, you have like this folder here, and I have original for the r15478. This is the vanilla. I mean, you can see the size difference between this and my mod. But let's say that you don't want to keep using the installer to keep copying like a gig of stuff on your computer for every single update that you get from me. I know that's annoying. I know you want to keep your saves and replays and all that's understandable. So all you need to do, as for right now, for all versions in this range, you can just, if I were to just pretend that I had an update, you can just make a copy of it and rename it to r15478, and then make a shortcut of this and pin it to your start menu if you have Windows or whatever. You're going to see things like this in the replay menu and in the saves menu where you can't play these. It's going to say version number. It might say try to load save, but I wouldn't try it if I were you. It's most likely not going to work. Every change I made in each of these versions are going to affect replay and saves. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try to view a replay, and if it crashes, but don't try to play a save. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you have, like, if these were all 15475, 7677, and now 78, you could just delete all of them. Just grab your saves from each save folder, because they're all of this format. They're all subfolders, and inside each one you have the actual save file and replay file and all that. You can copy them all into the same saves folder as long as they don't have the same name. If not, you can just rename them. You have to rename every single file in here manually. Make sure to keep the extension for each. Like, you can do it that way, and then also rename the outer folder that they're in to the same exact name, just so that you can consolidate all your saves and remove like 2 or 3 gigs of unneeded software on your computer, if you don't mind to see this peach color of replays that you cannot play or watch in the current version that you're looking at. Just to let you know. But hopefully, knowing that all you really have to do is add 11 megabytes for each update. That's all it's going to really cost you in disk space. And also file count, just 1 file. Because the CJUnit mod files, the core game images, and the sounds, all that will be the same, and that's what matters. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is for developers, that of course the source code is going to change every single time, because I have to legally provide the source code for the current version that I'm releasing, and that's going to change every time. And this file will change too, because this is a table of contents for those who didn't see it. I didn't mention it before, but this is just a list of CMOLA and something that you can search for in the source code with Control-Shift-F if you have Delphi 12. This is for developers to find all occurrences of something. If you wanted to see all the changes that I did to add one new thing into the game or remove something. So this and this folder are the only things that really change every single time. But other than that, I mean, for everyone else, again, nothing else has changed. The only thing that's changed is the exe. Alright, so thank you for watching. Have a nice day.